Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Biblical Bees. So we're back this weekend and we're feeling way better than we were last time. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, this is part two of the story of my life. I did release part one on last Monday. So if you have not listened to that, I would recommend that you do because it ties into this. And I'm not sure if there's going to be a part three yet. Kind of have to see how this one goes, but if it is, then it is. Um, but yeah, this is. I'm going to be starting somewhat where I left off in the last one. And yeah, I was pretty. I don't know if nervous was like the word or not, but I've been thinking about this episode for a while, or pretty much like during this week. Just been thinking about it because this episode is gonna be real. I guess I don't want to say difficult, but challenging episode. Being that this episode in particular is gonna be a surprise to a lot of people. Um, a lot of people may not know some of the things that I'm gonna say. So I just been kind of thinking about that, but I just knew that it was very important for me to put this out. That way, if there's other people that are going through this, they can hear my side and hear, how I went about it and different things like that. So, yeah, so we're just gonna hop right into it. Yeah, we're just gonna hop into it. And I also wanted to make it known that if anyone ever has any questions or just feedback or anything, what I can do is I can start leaving my Instagram and my Facebook for Biblical Bees in the description. That way, you guys can message me, or for the people that aren't following, you guys can follow. That way, you guys can stay updated um, for any new episodes or whatever the case may be. So I can put those in the description. That way, if you guys ever have anything, then you guys can give feedback. So yeah, so we're just gonna hop right into it. So if I'm remembering correctly, last Monday I had left off when I was talking about a relationship that I had gotten leading into my senior year, and I was kind of saying how this relationship had brought me to a very low point, towards the end of our relationship, towards the end of the relationship, but it had brought me down a very hard path that was very hard to get out of. Even months after the everything was kind of over, it took me like a really long time to kind of get back out of that low point. So being in this relationship, I was still very private, about everything. um I might have said it in the last episode, but this relationship, not relationship, not the relationship part, but I more so started to get in contact with this person April of 2022. But I didn't make it known. Well, like obviously, like people in school knew, but like I didn't make it known to my parents until a whole year after. Which y'all are probably like, why did you wait literally an entire year? And truth is, I really, I can't even say I don't know, because I know part of the reason was because it's hard, or it can be hard dating people when, like, being that I was always a person that like just never really always told my business or never really liked my business out like that. I felt like when it came to relationships, I was even more protective over everything. One, because then multiple questions are coming about this person, or just a whole bunch of stuff, and I didn't want to have to deal with that. I truly did not. I was not trying to hear about that from people in my family or anything, because it gets to a point where that I don't want to say it gets annoying, but that's what it gets to. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of always just kept everything private. But eventually, with this relationship, like I said, after the year, I did end up expressing to my parents about it. But I think if I'm not mistaken, I might have told my parents that we were close, or not close, like best friends or something, but it was not best friends. But like they knew, like, you know what I'm saying? So like, yeah. So yeah, I was still very private in this relationship, and I think at first, like, kind of when we started talking, I was a little bit private about it as far as like our school knowing, because we did go to the same school. I was a little bit private like within the first few months because we were not in the same grade. We were 2 years apart. And not saying that like I didn't want people judging me because, he was 2 years younger than me, but I don't know. I really don't know, to be honest, because it didn't bother me. Because if you think about it realistically, there are so many husband and wives that are years apart from each other, even 5, 10, 15. So like 2 years is nothing. So I don't really know why I was tripping about it, but it can be a little weird in high school. Like, oh, like, you're a freshman, you're a senior, or you're a whatever. You like, if you're in high school, you know how it gets. So being in a relationship with this person, out of all the relationships that I have been in or people that I've dealt with and whatnot, this person, I truly felt like I was in love with that person. Like, I truly was. I truly genuinely cared about this person. And I felt like this was one of my happiest relationships that I have ever been in. Like, I mean, literally. And it just felt like everything was just so genuine, in the beginning of, like, throughout the relationship. And we were this relationship was going on for a while. Like I said, started getting to know this person about April of 2022, and we had ended the relationship in January of 2024. So we were together for a while. Um, but yeah, like throughout the first few months of the relationship, everything was going well, as a normal relationship does. And then, different things just started to get asked. Certain questions started to get asked about certain things, and I don't want to go too deep into detail, but I'm sure if you guys can, you know, put the clues. Eventually, you'll put the clues together and understand what I mean by certain questions. But certain, questions started to get asked. Um, that I've never really necessarily been asked in a relationship before. Like, that was genuine, and with some of the questions I were getting asked, my initial answer was no. One, because um I guess you could say I was scared in a sense. And then obviously, being that my parents didn't necessarily know what was going on, that kind of just would have been a little awkward. And um and I was new to a lot of things, like around this time, there was a lot of people in my grades. There were a lot of people in my grade that were doing a lot of things, and I wasn't. So, we were on different levels when it came to certain things like that. And we just, like, they would talk to me about stuff, and I'm looking like, oh, I can't really relate. I haven't went through that or haven't done that yet. So, you know, but, as time went on, and, it would get brought up again and whatnot, the questions were, like I said, they would not like constantly get brought up, but every now and then they would get brought up. And I was still like very nervous about some things, so I kind of just like pushed it to the side, or I would kind of just just say like no, like, I don't want to, and just, different things like that. And during this relationship, it just started to bring a lot of frustration for me, because I felt like, I think more so towards like the end of the relationship, maybe a few months to a year um in the relationship, I just felt like I was just like, I always had to ask for something. Some like things that like I shouldn't have to ask. And it got to a point where it was very draining, and it just caused a lot of, arguing and disagreements and things like that. And I'm never really a person to always just want to just argue with you. Like, normally if I'm going back and forth with you, or if I'm upset, at you about something, I it's because I care. And I think that was and I think that's what the problem was in this relationship, was because I cared so much about the relationship, was that every little thing would just make me upset. And it's not like I would just get mad to just purposely be mad. It was just like, why do I have to beg and ask for so much in a relationship? That was kind of where it was at. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I was perfect either in the relationship. Like, we both went through a lot of things, but it just felt like I was just constantly asking for more than what I needed to. And, you know, it was hard. It started to get very hard, especially when I was coming into school in the college. It started to get very hard. Um, and eventually, throughout, all the arguments, the frustration, and everything, that's when it came to a point where fornication had started. And once this started, things just took a turn, very much. Um, Things took a turn in the relationship that I didn't even realize at this time, because I'm not sure like when around this time it happened, but it was it was very, I don't even know like the word. It was a lot. And I didn't even realize that so much was going on. And during this time, um I no one really knew besides my closest friends, and that was it. Because being that, I'm not sure around this time if my parents had knew or not, but telling your parents something like that, and they don't even know that you're with someone, like, that was something that I was just so scared to say. Because being that they're my parents, and I'm their youngest child and I'm a girl, that can be hard for them. So it was it was really hard for me to not, like, express that to them, because there was just a lot of things, just not even with this relationship, in other relationships, that I just never expressed, because I always felt like I couldn't trust my parents. In a sense, I felt like every time I would tell them something, somebody else would find out. Or when there's a family gathering, that person, whether aunt, uncle, I don't know, cousin, whoever, they would say that to me. And then I'm like, wait, like, I just told, my parents this last week. How, like, you know what I'm saying? And also another thing was just telling them, and them not knowing, if we were together or not at the time. That's a whole nother situation. Because now it was, I think I was also afraid of, like, what they were gonna say, like, what was going to happen, what the consequence was going to be. And I felt like there was never a safe place for me to tell them, certain things like this. And they would always tell me and my brother, like, you guys can tell us anything, but this one thing, I just could not. I literally could not, because I was so scared of what the reaction was going to be. So I just never said anything. Like I said, my friends knew, like, my close friends. Like, I think at the time only like two of my friends knew. My closest friends knew, and that was it. I didn't say anything. And um like I said, at this time, around the time when it had happened, I don't think, I'm not sure if my parents knew about him or not. I can't fully answer that. But like I said, we started talking in 2022. My parents didn't find out until 2023. So, like, and then also that, just like, when I did bring this person up to my parents, I didn't bring it up like, oh yeah, we started talking last year. Like, no, I didn't. I just said, I think when I first brought it up to my parents was when me and this person was trying to hang out, because during this time I was 16, 17. So I mean, obviously, I still had to, ask to go certain places, let alone, with a guy. That was a whole nother thing. So that was around the time when I told them. And I was just so, like, nervous to tell them because I didn't want to be judged, or I didn't want them to make it difficult for me to be in this relationship. And I think that's why it took me so long to tell them, because anytime there was another relationship that I was in where I did end up telling my parents, and I just felt like I remember one time he had came over, and I just felt like I couldn't even breathe, because I don't know, it just felt like somebody was just watching over my back. And like, nobody wants that in a relationship. Nobody wants that to where they feel like they can't be trusted. And that is how I felt with another person that I was with before this relationship. I just truly felt like I could not be trusted in a relationship. So that was why I just kept it to myself, because I didn't want to have to go through that. I was with this person for almost 2 years, and I never had them over because I was not trying to go through that again, to the point where I felt like someone was breathing over my neck or somebody was just staring at me. I truly did not want to go through that at all. Like, I a lot of the problems or the arguments that were going on in this relationship, I didn't even bring to them. I didn't even tell them, because I wasn't trying to hear, oh, well, you shouldn't be dating, or I'm not trying to. No kid wants to hear that when they're in a relationship with someone. They want to have supportive parents that will help them through that relationship. And even some of the friends that I've had that I have that were in relationships around this time, like, they would tell me certain things, that they would talk about with their parents, and I literally would tell them, like, I wish my parents was like that. Like, now obviously not all parents are the same. Different parents have different parenting styles, but like, there were just certain things where I just wish that my parents did too. Like, I wish that I was able to be trusted in a relationship, or trusted to have somebody over without feeling like somebody was down my back. Like, so that's why it was just so hard for me to just tell them about a lot of things, because I just didn't want it to be difficult, or didn't want it to be hard to be in a relationship like that. And that's why I kept it private. And so, you know, after, well, not after, but like towards like the end of my senior year, like I said, I graduated in 23, so this relationship was still going. And, the relationship was still going, and, the fornication was still going as well. And for some time, it just felt like that was the only way that I was able to give something and feel appreciated, or even just felt love in return. Because around this time, when I was getting ready to graduate, going into college, a lot of, I feel like more problems just started to build up, more arguments just started to build up, and it was getting to a point where it was just getting so draining and so like stressful at times. And I would tell my closest friend, like, it was so much. Like, I would literally call her and text her and tell her, like, bro, like, this is a lot. Like, being that this was one of my longest in real relationships, it was a lot. It truly was. And it was just a lot. And going into college, things just felt like they got worse. Like, it felt like that's when, the distance started to kick in, because I didn't go to school. I didn't go to college in my hometown. I was almost an hour away. So, the distance started to kick in for sure when I got to college, and it made things a little bit harder, to the point where, we had started, taking breaks because this was like my freshman year of college, like that first semester ish was when we started to take like an actual break. Well, it wasn't even a break. We were still communicating with each other, but it just really more so wasn't a label on it. But yeah, we took a break like twice from like the time that school started until like October, November ish. And then eventually in January, starting of my spring semester of my freshman year, that's when, the relationship ended. And that was literally one of the most hardest things that I have ever went through. Now, by this time, my parents knew that. My parents, like I said, I brought him up to my parents in 2023. So this is 2024. So my parents knew everything. Well, not everything. Like, they knew that we were together. Because, like, during the times that I was home, like, we would always hang out and whatnot. But I couldn't. My parents didn't even know that we weren't together. I want to say, what is it? It is April right now. I want to say the first time since we broke up, I think my mom asked me if we were together like months after. And then I had ended up just telling her, like, no, like, we weren't together anymore. But, like, if she would have never asked, they probably would have thought we were still together. Probably. But I just I didn't tell them that, any, like I said, any problems, any of that. I just never told my parents because I didn't want it to come from uh not just not like a judgmental thing, but I just didn't like, how parents can get. I just didn't want it to just be hard on me while I was going through all that stuff in the relationship. And when I tell you guys, like, I've never felt so hurt and so lonely in my life, this was probably one of my worst semesters because if I'm not mistaken, I think we broke up either the week before like spring break, the week before spring semester had started, or like during that week. And that was one of the roughest semesters I've had. And I'm in my fourth semester right now. That was one of the hardest semesters ever. Like, I mean, like, it was just so hard. And crazy thing, I'm not sure if I said this last episode, but 2 days after we broke up was when I got saved. So, like, now when I think about it, I'm like, okay, maybe that was God telling me I did not need to be in this relationship anymore. And even after relationship, it was hard. It was so hard, being that, we did a lot of things together. That was still hard, you know? Like, it was hard. And I just had to rely on God's strength during that time to help me grow and to help me heal because I mean, guys, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's been hurt over a breakup, but I mean, I was so hurt. Like, the genuine care and love that I had for this person, I mean, it was ridiculous. Like, I truly felt like I was so happy. Like, I mean, despise all the arguments and whatnot, I still stuck with this person because I truly cared about this person. I truly liked this person because there were multiple times where I could have ended the relationship, but I didn't because I wanted to make it work. I truly wanted to make it work because I truly had the strongest feelings for this person, and I mean, like, I can't even explain to you guys. Like I said, we broke up January. I think I finally started to heal, truly heal and grow and kind of realize the fact was like last year, like September or October. And that was a few months ago. Like, summertime, I think it was really bad. I think that was when it got, worse. That was probably like the rough time was during summertime. And there was just like so many things that I was hearing from other people about him, and it was making it worse. Because even after we broke up, I was we were still we were I was so vulnerable. I mean guys, from like January to like summertime, I would still text him like, is there hope for our relationship? Like, guys, and I mind you, I'm saved at this point, but I was so hurt. I was literally willing to do anything to get back with this person. Well, not anything, but like you guys know what I'm trying to say. Like, I mean, I constantly kept getting in contact with this person. Like, are we ever gonna get back together? Like, would you like just? I would, guys. Like, I mean, I was so hurt, and mind you, I was so hurt, and my parents still did not know. Still didn't. They still didn't know at all. I mean, guys, I was so hurt. Like, I was up middle of the night just crying because like I truly felt like I lost my best friend during that time. Like, I would literally call my friend like middle of the night just crying, up all night crying, on the phone with her crying. Like, I was so hurt. Like, I truly was so hurt. Like, and I think being that I truly cared about this person was why I was so hurt and I was so vulnerable that it caused me to still, text this person and whatnot. Like, it would, like, guys, I tried for so many months to get the relationship back, but it never happened, and I had to realize that it was not gonna happen. Now, I want to say, was it March or April? He texted me pretty much trying to get back together, but it wasn't genuine. And when I realized that, that broke me even more, because I felt like, okay, like after all this trying, we're gonna piece it back together, but it wasn't genuine. It truly was not genuine, and I think because of all the fornication and all of that was happening in the relationship prior, I think that that stuck with him, and it made it hard. It made it very hard. So, once I realized that this relationship was truly not coming back together, that was just the time that I took to mentally just focus on myself and get back to being happy again, because guys, it was months. Like, I was happy, smiling, but I wasn't truly happy. Like, you people were able to tell that I was hurt. Oh, well, obviously not my parents, but like, my friends were able to tell that I was hurting. Like, I even have conversations with my friend till this day, and we just laugh about it. Like, I was, guys, it was so bad. Like, I wish you guys could see like pictures and videos. I was so hurt, and it was very bad. It was very bad. And going into my second year of college, this my sophomore year of college now, I just prayed. I just prayed to God, asked Him allow me to grow and to heal from all the pain that I experienced in the relationship, everything. And going during this time, like the fall semester, me and this person, we would have conversations. And around like maybe October, November ish was when I started to see what the intentions were, what his intentions were behind, certain situations. And it broke me to pieces, because I'm like, there's no way. There is no way someone that I truly cared about, truly risked my life for, truly kept everything so private. There's no way this person had these intentions. Like, and after all the times that I tried to keep everything going, I was so hurt for the way I was being treated. And eventually, I want to say it was around that time, October, November ish, was when I brought it to his attention. I'm like, I don't know if you realize, but what you're doing is hurting me. And he didn't know. He didn't know. Or, that's what he said, that he didn't know. And I was just so hurt. I'm like, there's no way. And I even told my friend, Guys, I was telling her everything. Like, she was really a real one with like just listening, because I was like telling her so much. And I was just like, there's no way, like, this can't be real. Someone that I truly cared for and truly like, there's no way that they were treating me like this up until this point. Even after we broken up, there's no way that this was their intention. Because truly, it got to a point where I was just like, I just wanted to be friends. I just had to realize that nothing was changing and that I just wanted to be friends. But still realizing what the intentions were, I was just like, there's no way. There's just no way. Like, there was just no way. And I think around this time, I think it might have been the time that I brought it to his attention. I had to forgive him. I had to forgive and I had to accept the fact that I can't have this unforgiveness for him. Even through everything that I've went through, everything that I've been through, I had to forgive. And that was all because of Jesus. Jesus was the reason why I was able to forgive. Because I can't have that unforgiveness, because that unforgiveness won't let me move on. And, like I said, we had a conversation and I was able to express how I felt. And I was able to forgive him about everything. And through all those hard times, it's allowed me to grow so stronger in my relationship with God. And God has done so much for me within those moments, providing me with the amazing friends that I have at school and allowing me to heal, restoring my relationship with my family and being able to trust them and open up to them and not being so private about everything. And as well with giving me the strength to guard my eyes, my hands, my thoughts, and my mind, which I'm just so thankful for in just so many ways. And just going through all of that, being able to being able to pray to God during those times, releasing all those things that I used to do, and just praying to Him to not let the enemy bring that back to me, because that's not who I am. And even though times may come up where the enemy tries to bring that back, I have to shut it down in those times. I have to shut it down and I have to rely on God's strength, that He will help me get through that. Because if I rely on my own strength, I'm going to go right back down that path, and I cannot do that. I cannot. And I'm not saying that it's gonna everything is just gonna go away so quickly, because like I told you guys, we broke up 2 days before I got saved, and even when I got saved, it was still so hard. Everything did not just wipe away the day I got saved. It took time. And that's how it is with anything. Whether you have problem with lying, whatever it is, sexual morality, whatever it is, it's gonna take time. I'm not saying that it's gonna be easy, but you have to rely on God, that He can purify your heart to not allow you to want to do that anymore. And that's what I have to do, and that's what I have to continue to do. I have to, or I will keep going down that same road, and I can't, and I won't, and I haven't. And I'm just so proud of myself for not letting that happen, because it was so hard. It was so hard. And it took me a while during that time to even realize if I even wanted to get back in a relationship, because of everything that I went through. But the things that I went through made me the person that I am today. The things that I went through made me who I am today, and who I'm going to become. And that's what we have to That's what we have to understand. Like, yes, we go through so many things, but the things that we go through is the things that God uses to make us who we are. And even though it was so hard, and there were times where I just wanted to give up, and I'm like, I can't do this, I still was able to get through it. Everything that I've told you guys from last episode to this episode, it was not easy. It was a work in progress. And God is still working in us every day, constantly allowing us to grow and mature in our faith every day. That's what He's doing to me every day. But we can't allow, the thing is, we can't allow the enemy to bring us back to what we used to do. And we're going to get tempted. We're going to get tempted. I get tempted, but the main thing I have to do is rely on God, that He's going to help me get through that temptation, because we cannot rely on our own strength. God's strength is more powerful than our strength. His strength is the strength that is going to get us through it. His strength is the strength that got me through everything that I've went through. And because of that, I'm able to trust my family. I'm able to not be depressed anymore. I'm able to not be sad anymore. I'm able to be bold in my faith and so much more because of God's strength. Because of it all. And I think the more I keep walking with Him, He's going to continue to grow me, and He's going to continue to purify my heart, and He's going to continue to guide me so I can keep my eyes on Him. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be challenging. I think I heard somebody say this before. I'm not even sure who it was. But they said something like, it's easy to live in the world, but it's harder to live for Christ. It was something along those lines. And it stuck with me, because it is easy to live in the world. We're not worried about anything. But when we're living for Christ, we have to fight 10 times harder, 10 times stronger, to not be tempted by the world, to not let the world consume our thoughts and our mind. We can't. We cannot let the world take over us at all. And that was something that I had to realize. And I've overcome so much. Like, so many people don't know a lot of things about me, and one of the reasons is because I don't tell my business. I'm just not that type of person. But a lot of people don't know things about me. Don't know, like what I just talked about today. A lot of people don't know about that. What I talked about in last week's episode, a lot of people did not know that I was going through depression. Did not know that I had points where I was crying myself to sleep. People didn't know that. Even people in my household didn't know that. But now I'm able to be open and asking people for help, asking people for guidance. I'm able to do that now. I'm able to not be so secretive about everything. Now, I'm not saying go out and tell all your business, but there are some things that just have no reason to be said, but just a lot of things I'm just able to be more open about with, my family and other people that are close to me, which is something that, I'm happy that I'm able to do, because at one point I didn't even dare to say anything. But I've gotten to a point where I can. And, I've gotten to a point where I'm happy. I'm happy being by myself. I'm not saying that eventually I don't want to get in a relationship or anything, but I'm happy with being by myself. I'm happy that I'm able to focus on me, my health, my relationship with God. and focus on school, number one. But, I'm happy that I'm able to do those things by being by myself. Because I don't want to go through the hurt and the pain anymore. I truly don't. I don't. Because I went through a lot. Just within the past, like, what, 3-4 years? It was a lot. I think majority of the things that I talked to you about in this episode and the last episode was in a matter of those 3-4 years. And that might not sound like a lot, but it adds up. It does. But I just hope that you guys understand that we're not perfect. Before we get saved, we're not perfect. A lot of the things that I talked about was before I got saved, and some of the things were after. It's gonna be hard, but we just have to trust that God will change our hearts, change our mind, change our thoughts, and we will be able to get through it. And that was something that I had to realize. And I've gotten to a point where I'm able to be happy. And I'm happy that I'm here. So I really hope that you guys take something from this episode. And understand that if you went through the things that I went through, you're not alone. At all. You're not alone. And that, things may be hard at first, but as long as you have Christ, guys, like I said, I've went through so much, and I've achieved so much, and I've also done so much. Just even starting this podcast was it a year ago, like literally. I would not be doing this. But I was able to, because I was able to overcome everything, and God was able to open doors for me. And I'm so thankful for that. So I truly thank you guys, and I truly appreciate you guys for listening. I check, all the time, to see, the different places, that people listen from. There's states that I don't even know people from. So I'm happy that I'm able to reach people from different areas. And, I'm happy that they're able to hear the things that I have to share. And I hope that whatever I'm saying can be encouraging to you or motivating to you or whatever it may be. But this was something that I knew needed to be done. I knew it was important to share my story with you guys. Because a year ago I would not have said any of this at all. Or over a year ago, I would not have said none of this to you guys. So I truly thank you guys for listening and just being encouraging. And I hope that you guys can take something from this. And I'm very thankful that I was able to be bold with saying all of this. Because like I said, there's a lot of things that people don't know. People in my household didn't know. But God gave me the strength to continue to do this. Because I've been thinking about this, and I've been so nervous all week. Like, how am I going to do this? But He enabled me to be able to do this. So I just thank you guys. I truly do. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this. And like I said, if there's ever any questions or anything, I will leave any contact information in the description so you guys can ask questions, whatever the case is. But I just thank you guys for listening. And I'm excited to be able to continue my journey, knowing that you guys know how my life was before and after. So I just thank you guys for listening. And I hope you guys enjoyed part 1 and part 2. And I'm excited for you guys to hear whatever else I have that comes in store. But I thank you guys, and I will catch you guys on next week's episode. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, start of your week, whenever you're listening. I hope that you have a great weekend. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.